Hey guys! So I want to talk to you guys about a solo road trip that I went on last summer. I'm going to tell you everything I did, everywhere I went, and then I'm going to talk to you about some of the sketchy experiences that I had. So I live in the Midwest, which if you've ever been to the Midwest, you know it's literally just flat and cornfields. That describes it. Yeah, flat cornfields and bean fields. And so I wanted to see something else that I had never seen before. I wanted to go places I'd never been. I needed something new in my life. And so I decided to plan this road trip out west, and I ended up having 3 friends come along with me. We went to Arizona, we went to Utah, we went to Colorado. I think we spent 10 or 11 days, and we literally saw so much. It was absolutely amazing. I'd recommend anybody to do it if you've never been out west. It's absolutely beautiful. But after that, we got back, and I was like, I need to see some more. Like, I don't feel fulfilled yet. Because originally I wanted to see California on this trip too, but we ended up not, like, all 4 of us couldn't find enough time to do that. California is massive. Like, that'd be an extra, like, 7 days or something. So we ended up just, like, cutting that out and skipping that part. And so, but I really, really, really wanted to go out there. I felt like I really needed to see that too. And so when I got back, I pretty much, like, immediately started looking up flights. And I ended up, because I just didn't want to drive out there all the way by myself. That's, like, 2 days worth of driving. So I ended up finding a cheap flight from Chicago to Las Vegas. It wasn't like the main airport in Chicago, O'Hare. It wasn't O'Hare. It was like the smaller, older one. I don't remember what it was called. But I found a cheap flight from that smaller, older airport to McCarran International Airport in Las Vegas. And so I booked, I think it was like an $180 round trip flight or something. Like, when will you ever find that again? And so I just kind of said, well, the heck with it, and I booked it. Never been out there before, didn't really know what the heck I was doing, but I figured out I'd learn along the way. I booked a car from the airport too, so I could, you know, be able to drive myself around. And so flew out there. The flight was at like 6 o'clock in the morning. I pretty much got to the airport the night before at like midnight and just slept in the airport because I live 6 hours away from there. Like, what else was I gonna do? And so I wasn't gonna pay for a hotel because I'm just cheap as heck. I got to Vegas and found my car, got my car, which was actually a little difficult because I didn't have a credit card at the time, and so I didn't have credit, and to get a car, like, you pretty much need credit, and so it was a little bit of a struggle, but, you know, I pulled some strings and got it. And so my first destination was going up to Yosemite, which was, if I can remember right, it was like an 8-hour drive or something. It was forever, but Yosemite was absolutely amazing for anybody that anyone that wants to go to California. Yosemite is absolutely a must. That is my favorite place that I've ever been to. And so I wanted to sleep at the Camp 4 campground in Yosemite. And for those of you that don't know what that is, it's a campground that is first come, first serve, meaning that you can't make any reservations. But the thing is, they only have so many sites. And so to be able to get one, what people end up doing is lining up outside the campground at about 3 or 4 a.m. and getting in line to be able to get a spot for that night. Guys, if the camera shakes, my cat is literally like laying down here messing with it, so I'm sorry. I'm just sorry. Anyways, yeah, they line up super early, and so I knew that, you know, by getting into Vegas at, like, I don't know when I got there, like 9 a.m. or something, that I obviously wasn't going to be able to drive 8 hours, get to Camp 4, like, the middle of the afternoon and get a spot. Like, they're all taken by, like, 8 a.m. And so I had to find something else to sleep, or somewhere else to sleep for that night. So I ended up sleeping at in a national forest that was around Yosemite, which Yosemite is pretty much surrounded by national forests. So the thing is with national forests, you're allowed to sleep pretty much anywhere you want, unless, you know, there's signs stating otherwise. So I slept in, I don't remember what the name of it was, but it was the national forest to the west of Yosemite. And you're allowed to sleep on there's like these pullouts on the side of the road, these little dirt pullouts, and you can pretty much just park your car there and stay there for the night. I just found this out through research, not through experience or anything. And so I drove pretty much through Yosemite and then got over to the west side of it and found that national forest and found a spot that I could stay. It was in the evening time. It was probably 7 o'clock or so the sun was starting to go down, and I kind of was settling into my spot and decided to make some dinner. And I noticed that all along maybe this 3-mile stretch of road that from the gate to where I was parked, it was just full of pullouts. So it was pretty much just like a car camper's dream. But the thing is that there was nobody parked sleeping there. And I was super confused because I thought they would be absolutely full and I wouldn't even be able to find a spot. Started to get dark and I was kind of starting to get a little worried, like if I was allowed to be there or not. And the thing about me is I am absolutely like pathetically terrified of the dark. Like, it's a pathetic fear. I don't know why I still have it. It's like a childish fear that a 4-year-old has. But when it's dark out, I just get creeped the heck out. And so it started to get dark and nobody else was around and I didn't know what the heck to do. And so I remember I called my boyfriend and I was like, oh my gosh, like what am I gonna do? Like there's nobody around and I'm gonna die. And I was like, I need to come home, find me a flight. And he was like, chill out, like you're gonna be okay. And I was like, I know, but like I'm so scared. And so he pretty much was just like, chill out, you know, and I was just like, okay, whatever. And I finished cooking my dinner and I set up a tent because it was super hot and I didn't want to sleep in my car when it was that hot. And so got in my tent and then a few minutes later, somebody else pulled up into the same little pullout that I was in. And I'm not kidding, it was absolutely ridiculous. My fear just like, just went away. I don't know how, but I think it was just the fact that somebody else was there and I wasn't alone in the dark, so if a creeper tried to come and get me, he couldn't because there was somebody else. I don't know, it's stupid, this is how I think, okay? And so I was like immediately fine. It was like, whoop, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go to bed now that I have a friend. And it turns out, next morning I got up and there was like 7, 8, 9, 10 cars on all parked around me. I guess everyone just like gets there after dark, I don't know. And so, got up super early that morning, drove to Camp 4, and I ended up getting a spot, stayed there that night. I think I stayed in Yosemite for a couple days. And then I ended up driving up to San Francisco, spent kind of like part of a day there. You know, that was okay. I don't know, I guess just like cities like aren't my thing. So that was okay. And then I hopped on the Pacific Coast Highway, which if you don't know what that is, it's a highway that goes along the entire coast of California. It's just absolutely amazing views. And so I started driving down that. Went down to Big Sur, which actually turns out Big Sur was closed because I guess like there's only one road that goes through it, which is the Pacific Coast Highway, and a bridge was knocked out on this road, and it's like you can't go if the bridge is knocked out because there's no other roads. So I had to bypass that and whatnot, but I just car camped that night at a rest stop, which is completely fine because there was about like probably 15 other people there doing the exact same thing. I didn't realize how many travelers there would be out, but every single person there was a traveler. You could just tell by looking at them. Everyone was doing the exact same thing. I was just needing a place to sleep. And so when I left in the morning, there literally wasn't an open spot for somebody else to be able to stay there. That next day, I drove down to, I think it was a town called Ventura. I'm pretty sure Ventura, California. Which is where you can hop on a ferry boat to go to Channel Islands National Park, which is an island about, I don't know how many miles, it was about an hour ferry ride off of the coast of California. And so you can't see it from the coast or anything, maybe if it's like a perfectly clear day, but we couldn't that day. But so we drove all the way out there, got there, there's a bunch of trails you could do. I had booked a kayaking tour, and so we kayaked through like caves that were along the coast of this island. You could camp there if you wanted to. I didn't. I just kind of hiked around a bunch for the day, saw some amazing views, and so then that evening got back on the ferry boat, come back to California, and I drove for a couple more hours that night to LA. That was my next destination, but this is where my actual scary incident happened. I was along whatever interstate I was on and I needed to pull over for gas. And I looked on my Google Maps and there wasn't really any like cities or towns coming up or anything, and I only had like a quarter tank left. And when you're out in the middle of nowhere, you know, you need to get gas before you're close to E. And so I pulled off at this like random gas station that I happened to see, which is already like kind of getting sketchy, but you know, it was whatever, I needed gas. And so we got some gas. I ran inside to get more water because I was starting to run out of water. Came back, it was fine. The workers were kind of weird, but you know, it was fine though, it was all good. And so finished getting gas, and then I pulled my car over to one of those side parking spots like at gas stations, because it was dinner time. I needed to cook myself some dinner. So I just had ramen in my car, and I have this little pot and little like single stove cooker to boil some water. And so I made some ramen, and I just kind of had it sitting right outside my car, and then I had my doors open because my car stunk really bad and like I just needed to air it out. But that was my mistake because you could clearly see all of the junk in my car. I was cooking outside my car. I made it very obvious that I was a traveler and that I was a solo female traveler and that nobody was with me. And so that was my mistake. But as I was cooking this, a car pulled up next to me, pulled up on the driver's side of my car, and it was just this guy that got out. He was probably, you know, like younger 20s or so. He gets out, and I think he went inside first, and then he came back, and he started talking to me. And I get super creeped out by people, I don't know, I just assume everyone's a creeper. And so he started talking to me, just kind of like asking my name and like where I was from and if I was traveling. And so I think I lied to him about my name. I told him I was traveling because like it was so obvious, you can't even lie about that. He asked where I was going, and I think I don't even remember what I said. I lied. Okay, I lied. And then, you know, that was just kind of the end of it. You know, I think he shook my hand or something, and then he was like, okay, well, you know, safe travels to you. I hope you have a good time, you know, the rest of your trip. And then he got back in his car. So like if I was parked here and he was parked here, he like pulled out and then pulled behind my car. So like I couldn't back out if I wanted to, and then there were trees in front of me, so I couldn't pull forward. So he kind of like locked me in. I don't know, intentional or not, I don't know, but he did. He then gets out of his car and kind of like talks over the roof of his car to me, and he goes, hey, would you want to go get dinner maybe? And I was like, but I'm cooking dinner right now, like, no. I was just like, no, I'm good. And he was like, are you sure? Like, you know, I'll drive you. And I was like, but no, like, I'm good. Like, you know, please go. Like, bye-bye. Yeah, I think at that point he was just like, okay, well, you know, have fun. And he got back in his car and he drove away. So on one hand, I mean, honestly, he was very nice. Like, he was very nice to me. And so he could have been just like a very nice guy who was just asking a girl on a date or like wanted to get to know somebody who was lonely. I don't know. But on the other hand, he could have been a part of the, you know, whatever mafia gang group who takes solo females and does terrible things to them and tells them that they're driving them to a restaurant, and then you never see them again. And do I look like I'm gonna be one of those girls? No! And so, yeah, I have absolutely no idea, but it creeped me the heck out. I wasn't too creeped out until he literally boxed me in, because then I couldn't have gotten away, like, if I wanted to. I don't think I had even finished cooking my ramen all the way, but after he left, I immediately got in my car and left, just because I didn't feel safe there anymore, and I just felt the need to get out. So after that, I went to LA, and that was fine. I spent a little bit of time there, and then I went to Sequoia National Park, and then I ended up driving back to McCarran International Airport in Vegas and flew back. So the trip was absolutely amazing. I enjoyed every bit of it. There just definitely were a couple scary parts. The initial, in the beginning, freaking out because I was alone at nighttime. And then that guy, you know, who knows, it could have been innocent or it could have not been, who knows. It's just the fact if you have to keep yourself safe and be aware of your surroundings at all times. But yeah, I would recommend anybody doing a trip like that. It was absolutely amazing. The only part that I didn't like about it was that I couldn't, since I was alone, I enjoy being alone. Being alone was fine to me. But since I was alone, I couldn't share the experience with anybody. I actually told myself that I probably would never do a solo trip again, just because of the fact that, you know, I can tell people about the trip, but like they don't understand like the grandness and the magnitude of what I saw and what I did. And, you know, no one understands because they weren't there with me, which is fine. It's just, you know, I just have to experience that by myself. And so I told myself that I wouldn't do it again because I enjoy sharing experiences with people. But turns out in a few weeks, I'm going on a 3-week, not one like before, but 3-week solo road trip. Well, I'm taking a dog, so it's pretty much solo, but you know, solo road trip, all over. I'll end up telling you about later because I'm going to be making a ton of videos covering pretty much everything I'm doing. So you should subscribe to me below because I will be making so many videos and you can follow my journey and whatnot. But yeah, comment if you have any questions about where I went, what I did, how I planned it all. Feel free to ask me. Subscribe to me, and I will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.